The knife was pressed against the recruit's throat before anyone saw him enter. A man, masked and wired with rage, stormed into the SEAL training mess hall, eyes wild, sweat dripping, gun holstered at his waist, blade drawn. The room fell into stunned silence. Dozens of elite trainees, trained in combat, tactics, and discipline, froze, unsure whether this was a drill or death knocking early. Then she stepped forward and no orders were given. No weapons were drawn. Just a nurse, bare arms, light blue. Scrubs, no badge of rank. Her name tag simply read, Maeve. They had laughed at her just this morning. The recruits thought it was funny. A civilian nurse posted to a Navy SEAL field camp? She looked too gentle, too soft. She didn't bark like the drill instructors or walk with the squared shoulders of warfighters. She moved like water, calm, unassuming, invisible. But now, the room was holding its breath. Maeve moved with quiet certainty, like she'd seen this kind of terror before. Her eyes locked on the intruder. No fear, no hesitation, just focused. He lunged. She pivoted, not away, but toward him. One swift motion, silent as breath, and the knife was on the floor. In another instant, he was on his knees, hand twisted behind. His back, pain written across his jaw. Not a single scream. Not a wasted move. Not even a scratch on the recruit he had tried to threaten. The silence shattered. Gasps. Then questions. Then apologies, muttered, awkward, ashamed. She stood still. Heart steady. Eyes steady. Only her hands trembled slightly. Not from fear. From memory. Because Maeve hadn't always worn scrubs. 5 years ago, she wore a different uniform. Army. Combat medic. 2 tours in Afghanistan. She once dragged 3 wounded men across open ground under fire when the evacuation bird got delayed. One of those men died in her arms, whispering a child's name. She never found out whose child it was. Maeve came home with a chest full of medals and a heart full of silence. She didn't seek attention. She avoided it. Her battle wasn't just in deserts or field tents. It was in grocery aisles, in parking lots where fireworks sounded like gunfire, in nights when she couldn't close her eyes without remembering. She volunteered for base medical duty quietly. No one needed to know what she'd done. No one ever asked. Until today, the man who stormed the mess hall? Not a stranger. A dishonorably discharged former recruit. Mentally unstable. Angry. Armed. Seeking revenge. And Maeve, the nurse they laughed at, was the only one who didn't freeze. Not because she wasn't scared, but because she knew what fear looked like and what it took to move through it. When the MPs arrived, they found the man cuffed and conscious, his weapon unloaded and disabled. Maeve had removed the magazine and dropped the slide without a word. She handed it over gently. Professionally, she walked back to her station without a single glance behind her. That evening, not a single recruit met her eye with a smirk. They stood, quiet, hands behind backs. As she passed, every head turned. No cheers. No salutes. Just silence. The respectful kind, because real warriors don't raise their voices. They raise standards, and heroes don't always carry rifles. Sometimes, they carry the wounded. Then come back to carry the weight of memory. Later that night, one of the youngest recruits wrote in his journal, "She didn't need to prove anything, but she did. And now I understand what strength really looks like." Maeve never told the story again. She didn't need to, because sometimes the loudest message is delivered in silence. Not every hero shouts. Some walk softly, carrying years of sacrifice on quiet shoulders. Comment where you're watching from. And if someone in your life reminds you of Maeve, subscribe to honor those who serve without needing to be seen, because the world needs more silent strength, more quiet courage, more nurses like Maeve.